We still have more people joining. So somebody told me that after the pandemic, people stopped attending webinars, but we have more and more people every Friday, so which is really nice. This free Friday webinar is automatically captioned. If you use the CC button in Zoom, you will get the automatic captions. And please use the Q&A for questions to the speaker. We will have a short presentation and then Q&A session afterwards, as always. And the link to today's free smart guide will be posted in the chat by the end of the presentation, along with other links as well. And this webinar is recorded and will be published on our YouTube page afterwards. And today I have the honor of presenting Malin Hammarberg, my dear colleague, senior UX designer and accessibility specialist, to take us through a journey on her favorite automatic tools that are free of charge. Please, Malin.
Hi, thank you. So today we talk about best things in life are free. I am, as Susanna said, a UX designer and accessibility specialist at Funka Foundation, and I'm certified professional in web accessibility, CPWA, by the International Association of Accessibility Professionals. And today we will talk about testing tools, and especially free testing tools. So when we do test accessibility, we need to combine three different methodologies. We need to use automated tests, we need to use manual testing, and we need to use user testing. And it's important to remember that different tools excel at different things. So sometimes we need to figure out what tool is best at and what it's worst at. So we kind of can combine and get that the best possible outcome that we can get. And when I say the best possible outcome, that outcome is, of course, that it's accessible, not that we do not find any automatic test errors anymore. So automated testing tools are imperfect, but also manual testing tools are imperfect. So we need to combine that with user testing. If we start looking at the automatic testing tools, I usually recommend do not put all your eggs in one basket. Do not buy one expensive automated testing tool and think that will fix everything. I think we have all heard the research behind how many errors an automatic testing tool can take. And those numbers differentiate depending on the tool. So they can be everywhere from 15% to maybe 60%. So we have a large number of errors that the automatic testing tools can't test for. And then we need to do manual tests. But that's not all. And the automatic testing tools also actually have false negatives. So there might be errors that exists, but the tool misses because the tool might not be able to read that code in the manner it is revealed to the end user. Or they might not find the error for different reason. One example of things that are false negatives is that we can get everything approved on an alternative alt text because all the image had the alt tag, but it can't check if the image has a relevant alternative text, and then it's still approved. And we can get that kind of false sense of compliance that we are really fixed something. On the other hand, we also have false positives. This is when errors are flagged by the tool that are not actual issues. And this is very prevalent in all the automatic testing tools. So this can lead us to waste time and resources on a non-issue. So we add a lot of time figuring out if something is wrong to then figure out that it wasn't wrong. Also, I've seen that we like to have that perfect score from our automatic testing tools. So we tend to try to figure out how to solve the issue, but the issue isn't really there. And sometimes the issue is kind of, we think it's really large because the same issue is announced several times, but it's a minimal issue that doesn't really affect accessibility, but we tend to add a lot of effort to fix that one because it's so many instances in the automatic tool. And maybe the more severe issue only has one instance, so we forget about that one. So it's so important that we take a step back and try to figure out which are the most severe issues and try to figure out how to create a kind of accessible product and not how to fix a perfect testing score from the automatic testing tool. So if we combine two automatic testing tools, then at least we kind of get two different views of it. But remember to figure out if they use different baselines, because a lot of automatic tools use the same engine in the underneath, and then your result will kind of be similar. So then we need manual testing. It's essential to complement the automated testing tool and ensure accurate results, so we can test those false negatives and false positives. And here I will give some examples of good tools I use. And this is a very selfish list, so it's what I like. It might not be what all of you likes. And I hope that after this, what it will do is kind of incite some inspiring investigation into what tools you really prefer and what you like. So some of the tools that we present today are accessible and can be used by assistive technology, and some of the tools probably aren't, but they work for me. So as I said, a bit of a selfish list. The first thing I want to kind of do a bit of high five to is the inspector mode. All the web browser have this, Safari, Chrome, and Firefox, Edge. And in inspector mode, you can test some different things. It's free. You don't need to install anything except open your browser. This example is from Chrome. And when you right-click and choose Inspect, you can get up the inspection tool. What I like a lot is testing the zoom in this one. So the zoom requirement, the resize requirement, it says that you need to have a 1280 x 1024 large display window and then zoom 400%. But this might be hard to tell how large the display window is. So then we can use inspector mode. And the same kind of this, if the site is responsive, the same thing will happen if you set the window to 320 x 256. This is like zooming in almost. And then you can check if all texts are available, if so no text is hidden beneath anything else, and that you only can scroll in one direction. You don't force to scroll in two directions to read the text. Very good, simple tip. Other things you can do in inspector mode is, and I will zoom in here. So if you mark an element, you get information about it. And if you open, this is available in all the different browsers as well. If you open the accessibility tree, you can read more about your component. This is probably more important for your developers, but it can also help the testers to find out how the element is named, if it's with the ARIA label or if it's the for attribute. It can tell if it has the required text, if it's ARIA required, ARIA invalid, and so on. So this is a kind of a good tip if you want some extra information when you do that investigation to find out what's wrong with an element. A good program to download is the Color Contrast Analyzer if you want to check contrasts. It's a program that's available for Windows and Mac, and when you open it up, you can check the contrast between the foreground and the background color. It's possible to add the hex code themselves, which is more secure than using the color picker. Because if you use the color picker, it can sometimes get the wrong, exactly not the same nuance on the color as it is. So it's always good to check that you actually have the exact correct hex code so you don't get fooled on that one. Perfect tool, you can test almost everything, every website, your Word document, everything, because it's a program on the side. Very good tool to use. Next, I thought I would like to deep dive into add-ons, extension, and bookmarklets. So add-ons and extensions are software that adds features to a browser. They are installed via the browser stores, and they work. There are add-ons and extension to all the different browsers. I would say it's more easy to find for Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. Safari is a bit harder to find the right tools for sometimes. And then we have Opera that I don't use that much. But there are add-ons and extensions to Opera as well. Bookmarklets, on the other hand, they are small JavaScripts that you can save as bookmarks in your browser. And then when you click them, they perform tasks without installation. These works on Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Edge. I use Bookmarklet a lot sometimes because I think they have some really good features. And I truly love to kind of test different tools and see what I find. A lot of the tools I use to be able to kind of show the other people what I found in a pedagogical way. So for me, it's important that the thing I see is easy to explain for someone else. So I thought I would start with one really cool tool. It has so many good settings or so many different tests you can do. It's Google Developer or Web Developer by Chris Pederick. It's another extension. It's available for Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and Opera. And it has like several tabs with different things you can do. You can disable things. You can reset cookies. You can do things with CSS, with forms, with images, with information. Bit of mixed things you can do. Outline, you can resize the window. So this actually helps you resize the window to that 1280 times 1024 if you want help to get the exact right size of your window. And there are some other tools. I won't go through everything. I will just show you two nifty things I like a lot. So the first one is really simple. It's on the CSS tab, and you can remove all the styling and see how the page would be, how you would perceive the page if you use assistive technology. So when I mark this one, it disables all styles, and I get kind of the code itself just written down in an easy way. So then we can check if the content has meaningful order easily and quickly without doing anything extra. Another cool thing in this one that I really love is to check the alt text, because it has this way that you can very easily explain what the issue is. So what you can do is you can do a lot of things, but in this one, I will try to hide the images and then display the alt attributes. So when I mark these two, we get up, all the images get hidden, so you can't see them anymore, and instead they are replaced with the alternative text. So what happened on this web page is that the image gallery was replaced with nothing, and then the alternative text are alt fnut. So this shows that if a user with assistive technology or screen reader would access this site, they would only be able to read the heading, and then it would be empty. And that would be very sad. And then it's easier to kind of show this is what happens. So I like this a lot. I test a lot of alternative text with this one. Another example of a multi-test tool is Silktide. It's a Chrome extension, so it's only available for Chrome. And it, when you open it, it has this side panel view. You can do a lot of things. One of my favorite things is the focus order. So when you click on the focus order, it kind of paints out how the focus order is. And it also shows you the labels and what thing it jumps between. This is an easy way to kind of show how the focus order is moving, and then you can easily show what went wrong. So For an example here, you go from the from the menu and down to 2 buttons on the right side. And it kind of skips over, and the next thing is going to the pause button for the video in the background. Probably the pause button for the video should be before these two, but then it's easy to show and say like, this is how it works, and we think you should probably do another order here. Another cool thing in Silktide is that you can test with different disabilities or try to emulate different disabilities. And one other thing I think is kind of good is the proximity thing you can test. So if someone has low vision or has loss of peripheral vision, it can be hard when the action, like here, the error mark is very far from the label. So what you can test is to turn on this and see how it looks if you have peripheral vision. So this can help explaining the proximity of things, why it's important to have things close together. And another Chrome extension is called Color Blindly. So this one is to test color deficiencies. It's a Chrome extension, so it's only available in Chrome. There are several of these. I like this one because I think it's really easy to handle. So if I want to see the page in any other color deficiency, I just choose what I want, like protanopia, and then I can see how the page looks in red blindness. Or if I want to go full monochromy, I can do that, and I can see how it looks. And I can easily find things where we rely on color alone and explain how it looks. Next tool, this is, I will show you 3 tools now that are good for users that rely on screen readers. So when you use a screen reader to navigate, you can use 3 common methods to navigate. The first one is to navigate between landmarks. The most common one is to navigate between headings. And the third one is to navigate between links. So in this one, this tool, it's the add-on extension. It's available to Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and Opera. It's called Landmarks, and it shows a list of the landmarks. It also shows what the landmarks are named if they have a name. So in this example, we have a banner that's the same as the header tag. We have a navigation that's named main. We have the main content area, and then we have content information that's the same as the footer. And if I mark something here, the banner, I can see where the banner is located on page. I can also click in show all landmarks, and when I do this, every landmark on the page is visible. I can see where the banner is, the main navigation, the main. This is a very nifty tool because it's really kind of shows how it looks and explains what different elements are named. A similar tool that tests the headers and the structure of the headers and the naming of the headers is HeadingsMap. This is an add-on extension that's available to Chrome, Edge, and Firefox. And you also get the title of the web page. So it starts with the title of the web page. Then you get the heading structure, and you can easily see if a heading is jumped or if the structure makes no sense because you can read the text. Like under here, it says on Instagram, and then there's 4 headings that look similar to each other. They are exactly the same and doesn't really make any sense, but it's easy to kind of see. If you want to see how they look on the site, you can make sure that you see that by clicking the visible, and then you get the H1 marked out, H2, H2, and you can see what they have, what they are marked up as at the site as well. So let's move on to some bookmarklets. This is list links, list all the links on the web page. What is good is that you can easily find kind of links that are named the same, and then they are hard to differentiate, but you also get kind of warnings like this one. Possible link issue found with this link. Link has a title is different from the text content. So you kind of get a warning if the link, if there are anything strange with link or if the links are empty. The good thing, I think, is that we can list all the links, and we can, if we have one of those pages with 10 read more links, it's really easy to show like, this is what it will look like. So you can kind of show the intent of that. Text spacing, this is a tool that, a bookmarklet that increases the character spacing, the word spacing, the line height, and the paragraph spacing. And what you are supposed to look for when you test it is to see if all the text is still visible, so no text is truncated or hidden beneath anything. So when you click it, it will just increase all those to the amount that is in the requirement. And then my last tool is about autocomplete. So this is the bookmarklet that shows the autocomplete value if autocomplete value exists. So you can easily see if it's a good autocomplete value and if it actually has one. So in this form, the two first fields, the one for last name and first name, has no autocomplete value. Email address has autocomplete off, and choose a password has autocomplete new password. So it's kind of one good autocomplete value, one that doesn't make sense since new password has one, and two that are missing. So then you can combine this with another autocomplete bookmarklet that actually helps you kind of inform what autocomplete value you want. So this bookmarklet called Suggest Autocomplete Value, what it does is kind of find the ones without autocomplete value, and then you get help to choose the correct autocomplete value. So when you click on the pull down, pick an autocomplete value, you get up a list and you can choose. So this one is title/civility, so probably honorific prefix would be a good one. So if I select that one, I can see that I've selected one here, and I can easily kind of inform the developers or whoever that I would like to add this autocomplete value here because it's missing. So these were my small list of tools. I use a lot more tools, but this was some of the ones I think I like a lot, and I thought I want to share today. But remember, no tool or no setup of tool can ever replace real user testing. Automated testing tools are imperfect, just as manual testing is, and we can only kind of combine and really create something accessible by adding real user testing as well. So very quickly to sum it up, accessibility testing doesn't have to be extensive. Use a smorgasbord of tools. Watch out for those false positives and false negatives. Remember to combine automated and manual testing. Test continuously, and remember that no tool can ever replace real user testing. And questions if we have time.
Yeah, we have very little time for questions, but it seems that people are happy. We got a lot of, you get a lot of thank yous, so I think that's good. We have one question about AI. Will AI allow automatic checkers to check more, most, or all errors in the future? And we have several of the same question in different variations.
I don't, it's hard to tell right now, but I think we will always need some user input, because sometimes it's hard to know. For instance, if you take alternative text, sometimes it's hard to know why you put the image there. It's probably just the content creator who knows the real reason. And that kind of context and reason is what we should be able to get from the alternative text. And I really can't see automatic tool understanding that, then we need to give some added information. And if we do that, we can just change the alternative text to be better ourselves. So that's one example.
Thank you. What's a usual real user testing setup and the duration? That's an impossible question, but maybe you can reflect on something.
Testing with users, we do it a lot, and I think Susanna may be talking about doing one of these Fridays webinars about some tips and tricks about that one. So I think we'll save it to that time.
Okay, and we have one, I think you mentioned it, but we have a question from a person who is almost blind saying, are these tools accessible? I think you mentioned it at the beginning, but...
Some of them are, some are not. We have tested several of these tools, not all of these, but several tools together with some of our user testers that are blind. So I know that some of them work, but some doesn't. And if you want specific advice, I can probably give you 1 or 2 tools as a tip. I will figure out which one works the best, and then we can write that in the send out.
We can follow up later maybe on that. And one question is about the access to what is called dimensions on the inspector tool in Chrome. The person cannot find it. Can you explain or?
So when you right click, you can choose to see your, you can choose to do, if you want to have it in a browser, like full width, if you want to test it in a mobile device. And if you, instead of mobile device, choose responsive, you can add exactly the dimensions you want in there. Hope that explained it well enough.
Mm-hmm. And maybe the last question would be any GDPR concerns we may need to be aware of about if we use these tools, could they be used safely on a protected environment?
Yes, most of them can. Bookmarklets sometimes get killed by the website, and then you need to have kind of the backup of extensions or other manual methods to test.
Okay, thank you. We also got a question on doing something similar on mobile apps. So that's something we can definitely consider for future webinars. I think we can say thank you a lot to Malin and just briefly mention that the next Friday webinar in 2 weeks, if you go to the next slide.
Yep. Sorry.
You are the one in charge of that. Is the involving users, where we are sharing best practices both on the Design for All standard that will be part of the package in the mandate acting as presumed conformance for the European Accessibility Act. So there is a Design for All process standard that is currently being updated, but it's already very useful. And we also have a lot of research knowledge on best practices on how to involve users in different ways in projects. So that is what next Friday webinar will be about. And I think we have a very long link shared because we didn't get it up on the website early enough. So we only have the link to the Zoom registration, but that's on the 28th of February, 1:30. Thank you very much for all your interesting questions and your engagement. And thank you, Malin, for sharing all of this with us, and Stefan for putting all the links out. And have a very nice rest of your afternoon, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for listening.